We're always reminded, treat people well, because remember when you were slaves. You've had this experience, you've gone through with it. So now he says through this anger which damages, which affects. וגם אינו יכול לגמור ולהוציא מכוח אל הפועל מה שצריך. And as a result of this, he can no longer bring to completion and bring from potential into actuality. Honking away there. Right. So it's, really deeply because I've got to go out and make my living, because I got to work so many hours because you aren't paying me well enough, God, or something. I don't know. You could look at it that way, just that anger completely breaks that circuitry. And again, if we look at anger as saying, I don't believe that there's a God, a Kohen, a priest, if he has touched a dead body, cannot go into the Beit HaMikdash, into the Holy Temple, God. So what kind of world did you make where people die, where people suffer? Then you're going to walk and say, oh, here's your lunch, God. Sort of like, you understand, you can be a little bit angry.
And that's the whole reason for saying Kaddish, because you're doubting God at that point, but Kaddish is exalting and proclaiming God. Right?
There's a teaching that I just have to tell my children, I just have to let my husband and my wife, I got to let them know in 1 minute, I just have to tell you, I'm sorry, that while you're feeling the loss and these words reconnect me, but it's also in a sense.
You forget who you are.
Amen.
The member said, the time of taking care of the food all the time. The whole company, I stayed with the nurses. They took up all the stuff, they noticed the machine coming. The whole scene.
I thought maybe
that's difficult. Maybe. You know what definition of a rabbi? What's the rabbi? Not that was a good spot.
I have a definition of rabbi. What's the difference between the rabbi and the rabbi speak? Okay? When the rabbi speaks, everybody says, Rabbi, boy, did you give it to me. And the rabbi speaks, the guy says, boy, did you give it to me.
So not all of them can speak.
Right?
They told me this morning that I could.
Yeah? And they look so serious.
What's going on? All the greatest people are here today. Not to be believed.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break as Shlomo ends his and I'm going to follow around after him to collect money from all of you, okay? Without getting angry.
Where are you from?
Where am I from? Miami, Florida. Originally Memphis, Tennessee.
How long were you in Miami?
No kidding, who was that?
Irma Rockland? Irma Rockland?
The name is familiar to me, that's all I can tell you. In Miami,
Broward County.
Broward. Fort Lauderdale College. Fantastic. Want me to call?
It's okay, we talk. She's on her way, she's going to come visit soon.
Terrific. You're living here. My nephew goes to Yeshiva BMT. He's in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, that I didn't even bother inviting you guys. I know.
Brother, there's no milk?
I'm sorry, they don't have any.
Okay, forget it. Thank you anyway.
The best. Shlomo, we weren't very well last night. We were in bed and so, but Bli Neder tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Come heaven or high water.
Good.
Bli
Maybe they
Neder.
went on to 2 in the morning.
Really? Well.
Da 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 da. I have to make an announcement when we start talking about his feelings. But when we are singing, it is forbidden to talk. Absolutely forbidden. Okay, good morning, friends. Let me explain to you something. In the Talmud, when one of the great rabbis begins to talk, it says, Toshima, he says, come and hear. In the Zohar, first it says, Tochazi, come and I will show you. But then it always says, Posach Rab Shimon, Posach Rab Abba. He opened his heart and it came out. You know, friends, there was information. Information, you know, imagine I call up El Al, when is the flight tonight to New York? Al Thea should just think, Gewalt, does he love me that he calls me up? Can't believe it, doesn't even know me, right? She says, oh, thank you so much for calling me. Just made my day. So I said to her, what time is the flight? She says, oh, tonight, 1 o'clock. I say, wow, 1 o'clock. What a time to fly, right? Then I say, can I please have dinner with you before we leave? I say, how could I not, right? I feel so close to you, right? Why not? Because it's information. It's nothing personal. Nothing to do with your heart. And if I would say, can I have dinner with you? She'll hang up on me, you know, it's a little chutzpah, you know. You know, even in Torah there's 2 levels. Information, learning. Listen, I'll tell you. But then there's something deeper. You know, when I open my heart, like, it's deeper than information. You can see it, right? You know, real learning is that while you're learning, you must see it. It's really true, right? It really is so. So you see, I was singing in order we should open our hearts. And therefore, when I see people are talking while we are singing, they're missing out. Because we are not learning here information. Because whatever we are learning, you know from before. The purpose of getting together is really that we should see it, not just know it. You know, one of the Rebbe says, from your mind to your heart is further away than from here to the moon, 100%. 2 million miles further away. And you know, last night we began learning that all the hatred comes because, as simple as it is, because we are so far from each other. You'd rather be far. You know, you can stand next to a person and give out to be far, right? What do we need more? God is everywhere, right? And give out to be far, right? Because to be close, nothing to do with space, nothing to do with time. It's deeper, deeper than everything in the world, right? Sing one more good thing. We got to learn a little bit. I'm so harsh. I'm trying to get a good key. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Anis Philosophy. I don't want to burn them as words down. Okay, friends, it goes without saying. Remember last night we were learning the question is not only what you see, the question is where are you standing while you're looking, right? Simple as it is. I'm standing here on Rehov Lamed Hey. The house looks so big to me, right? And imagine someone like the chief rabbi of Miami looks so tall, gewalt, you know. I'm flying up in the 747 up from up there. They'll ask me, how does the chief rabbi of Miami look to you? I say, how do the houses on the street look to you? I say, ridiculous, you know. Nothing, right? Imagine I'm flying in a Concorde, 1,500 miles an hour, right? You know how fast that is? Once in my life I flew in a Concorde. It's so fast and it's so awesome that it feels like it's going backward, because you cannot fathom going forward so much. So it feels like going backward. You know, first when I was on the plane, the first few said, "Oh, Gamal, he's going backward, Gamal." Let me off the plane, right? I'll pay you any amount, but let me off. I'm sorry, what? That's pretty good. We have to try it. It costs so much money. It's not worth it. Until I make the money to pay, I'll be on. That's a good idea. Listen, friends. You know, sometimes you look at the world. The question is always, where are you standing at that moment, right? And again, I don't want to talk politics today because it's not what I want over here. But if you're standing right here in Rehov Lamed Hey, it looks terrible, right? If you fly in a little helicopter, it maybe looks less terrible, right? But if you're up in heaven, right? Looks something else, right? The same with anger, right? Shabbos jumped. We're waiting for you like crazy. Hey. You hear, friends? Imagine, we're the best friends, so I'll take you as an example. Do you know I'm burning with anger against David, right?
How dare you?
How dare you, right? So, because we're standing here in Rehov Lamed Hey, right? He says, you are just disgusting, you are terrible. Right? How do you get rid of this anger? So imagine I'll say myself, wait. Let's go up to the mountain first, right? Let's look down from the mountain. The whole thing is a joke, right? But then comes something deeper. Imagine I say, okay, let's go up in a 747 up there. Not only we realize that we're not angry with each other, it's too ridiculous even to fight about, right? That maybe we're the best friends in the world. Right? And before I learn here about anger, I want to share something with you, and I'm begging you again, don't interrupt me because I'll lose the whole thing. The Mashiach is coming, then Esav will be the top man again. You know, Yitzchak had two sons, right? Yitzchak and Esav, right? You know, the symbol of Esav is a pig. Chazir. Sounds terrible, right, if you say it in English. In Hebrew, Chazir comes from the word Chazor, that one day we'll take you back. It's awesome, right? Awesome, right? Awesome is not the word, right? Just gives you the shivers, right? And you see, I want you to know something. That doesn't mean that Esav is not terrible on Rehov Lamed Hey. And it doesn't mean that he is not terrible even in a helicopter. But we are up there in the Concorde. Something else. And I want you to open your heart. Why is Esav so angry at Yaakov? Because he says, you took away my blessings. God bless you. But the deepest question in the world is, he's bad, but he's not an idiot. You sold it to him, right? Nobody forced Esav to sell it to him. And you know what he told Yaakov while he bought it from him? Do you know that this plate of soup has more meaning to me than the whole Torah of being the firstborn? That means the whole thing of being a firstborn is such a burden to me and so ridiculous, and I don't want it. Who cares? So why don't you remember what you said? And here I want you to open your heart. Really open your heart. You see, when Esav seeing a plate of soup, he's on Rehov Lamed Hey, he's terrible. The moment he stood in front of Yitzchak, he was not in Rehov Lamed Hey, right? Because even the worst person is not in Rehov Lamed Hey. Suddenly he was up there, right? He was crying, give out, why did I give up my blessing? Why did I do that? And he said, okay, how could you sell it? How can you sell it to me? How can you buy it from me, right? And I want you to know, the Gemara says that the whole existence, every evil must have something good to exist. Because it's completely evil, can't exist. And whenever something is evil, it reaches a point that it's only evil, it disappears, right? And again, I don't want to get involved because it's too delicate. When Germany reached the level that it was completely evil, that's when they lost the war. At that very instant, right? It was just, the universe couldn't contain this evil anymore, right? But it had to leave, right? The Gemara says Esav's whole right to existence is because he was crying for the blessings. You know what that means? Esau, with all his evil, deep, 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 deep inside, he wishes he wouldn't be Esau. I have to share something with you which I shared already with a lot of you. So I don't want to chew over all Torahs, but you know, I had the privilege of having a Gewalt father, you know. I bless all of you to be good fathers. Maybe your fathers were good also, but I had the privilege of having a Gewalt father. It's true.
Wait for the helicopter to
Yeah.
slow down just to pass by. Okay, so.
Okay, l'chaim, l'chaim. Okay. Yeah. Where were we just now?
Having good fathers.
Oh, my
having
father,
good
yeah.
fathers.
When my father was like very, besides everything else, was very sweet. So he would always take my brother and me Friday night, go with us for a walk. And he would talk to us in German. He would always tell us, you know, you have to become great rabbis. There's no other way, you know. And he would pump it into us, you know. I think I shared with you, when we were 3 years old, you know, children, I don't know, I guess I was even bad then. I took off my yarmulke and I said, I'm not going to wear a yarmulke anymore. So my brother went into my father and he was crying, gefella. He said, what happens? He says, my brother will never be a rabbi. Because I took off my yarmulke. Anyway, I guess he was right. L'chaim. What I want to tell you is, so my father told us, I want you to know someday you'll be rabbis. And I want to tell you where to put your energy. Who is the person you should waste your time with? It's a good title. So my father said like this. Imagine Bnei Brak, right? The holy city of Bnei Brak. And it's Friday night, and there's a red light. And the car stops. And the Yidele with a Streimel and 7 children crosses the street. There are 2 cars. One sitting there, it's just disgusting, you know. Barbaric with fur on your head and those poor 7 kids, you know. Poor kids. Religion takes away all their, you know, connection to the world. Spontaneity, disgusting poor kids look the way they look. And I wish I could run them over, but I can't, you know. Doesn't look nice, right? And Friday night, you know. This is what, I mean, this is. But then there's the other Yidele, sitting also in a car, watching the Streimele and the 7 children crossing the street. And suddenly he has tears in his eyes and he says, Master of the world, I wish I could walk with my 7 children sometimes like that. Most probably his children are out, who knows where they are, he never sees them, right? So my father said, this is the Yidel, this is good merchandise for you, right? Because he wants it inside. He just doesn't know how to get it together. The other Yid doesn't want it. If he doesn't want it, forget it. Mashiach will fix it, right? Now listen to this. Yitzchak wanted to bless Esau because Yitzchak thought Esau wants it, he just doesn't have it together. Oh, so I'll bless him, he should have it together. But Rivka knew that he doesn't want it. Simple as it is. He wants a plate of soup. He wants a plate of soup, and that's it. But now listen to me. When he stood in front of Yitzchak, when Yitzchak took him up in a helicopter, suddenly even Esau realized, I want more than a plate of soup. I want more than soup. I really want those blessings. And you see, in actuality, he doesn't want them, right? Put Esau on Rechov Lamed Hey, he doesn't need the blessings, and anybody who has blessing is ready to wipe out. If you take him up. very high up. Oh, I wish I could have it. I wish I could have it. You see, what will happen when the Messiah is coming? Suddenly he'll uplift the world so high that the lowest soup person says, this is not what I need, this is not what I want. I want something so much more. I'm just saying this to you that, see, on one hand, I have to look at evil of the world and say it's disgusting, it's terrible. On the other hand, there has to be one little inch left in my heart where I look at those people from up there and I realize maybe if they would stand in front of Yitzchak, they would cry for the blessings. I don't know. Right? If you forgive me, I have to tell you one more story about my father. I'll make it fast. First of all, I want you to know, my father really was a master of not being angry. You know, you're not born with not being angry. Don't kid yourself. It's not he was just stupid. Or he was afraid to open his mouth. My father was a world speaker. You know, I don't want to say anything bad. Whenever my mother would tell my father, okay, now you really have to yell at the children, it's going too far. I'll never forget, then he put his hand over his mouth, we shouldn't see that he's smiling. And he would start yelling, you know. So, I don't know. Someone says to me once, you know, your father was wrong, he should yell at you more, maybe you would have been better. But he doesn't realize, if I'm a little bit good, it's because my father didn't yell at me.
Shlomo, you want to tell a little story about a rabbi that used to tell his children before he was going to get angry, like in 10 seconds,
Yeah.
I'm going to get angry?
But I love you, fake it, but we had a promise.
It goes with it.
No, if you want to tell me something,
No, I want
put me
you
a
to
note.
tell it.
I know, but put a note for me because,
Okay.
you know, I don't know what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So I just listen to myself. And if you cut me off,
Okay.
you know, then get me fake it.
No.
Never. I'm learning from cars. I'll tell the story, ask me later, but right now we're learning cars. Tzorech l'shabeh es hakas b'rachmanos. And you see, if someone says to you, I'm so angry, I have no control over myself anymore. Here Rabbi Nachman says, it's not true. You know what means God gave us choice? That means God never takes away from us the power of choice. I always have choice. You know what Rabbi Nachman says? I can do the most terrible thing in the world, and 1 second later I have choice to be the holiest. There is nothing in the way. If you want it, right? I can imagine everything is against me, right? Like someone say, you know, I would love to be good, but my wife doesn't let me, my store doesn't let me. It's all cute excuses. It's not true. Just remember what the Kurdish Samagit says. The greatest evil in the world is excuses. Because with excuses, you can do anything in the world, right? So here Rabbi Nachman says, it's in your hands. Whenever you're angry, how do you wipe it out? How do you control it? And you know, this is so deep. Rabbi Nachman doesn't say, you know, I'm angry, but put some Scotch tape over my mouth. No. Then you get sick, right? Most people are sick today because they want to yell and they can't, and they just, instead of going outside, goes inside and destroys their kishkes, right? What do? And this is the deepest of Rabbi Nachman. Why am I so angry at you? because you're so bad. You're so disgusting. You're such a creep. Can't stand it anymore. So Rabbi Nachman says, yeah, it's true. You are a creep. You are bad. But Kival, do I have compassion with you? Because the way you're running your life, you won't make it. And the more I realize how bad you are, the deeper my compassion is. Gewalt, I have compassion with you. Gewalt. And he says, just remember the deepest depth of Rabbi Nachman. Imagine, I'm such a good person. Everybody knows I was written up in Jewish press as a good person, right? Do you know that good people also have a lot of cruelty in their hearts? I want you to know God gave us every emotion in the world. We have everything in the world. Someone says, I'm completely good. Tell it to the Jewish press, but I know the truth that every human being has anger, every human being has goodness, every human being has also cruelty inside. And you have to control it. I mean, unless you reach the level of David HaMelech. David HaMelech really wiped out evil from his heart. He didn't have it anymore. David HaMelech had no cruelty anymore. And it doesn't that he woke up one morning and he's, today I'm not cruel. You have to work like a dog on yourself. You have to cry your eyes out till you fix 1/1000th inch in your heart. Not so simple. And all the people who say, I have to put my foot down. It's not to put your foot down. Your cruelty makes you do it. Inside. And there's a very subtle kind of cruelty, Some people think cruelty means, I want to kill you. Cruelty means, if I make you feel less high than you are, cut you short. But Rabbi Nachman, if I cut somebody short mentally or spiritually, it's murder. It's murder, right? I don't want to say anything bad, but the teachers today, for them, education means to cut kids short. Someone asked me, how would you describe our age? I say, it's the age of tailors. Everybody tries to cut you short, right? Cutting short. Don't cut short. I want you to know something, sometimes you have to rebuke somebody, don't cut them short. You have to make them so tall that they don't want to do it anymore. Imagine I see someone putting his nose in a garbage bin because he thinks he's a pig. So I start telling him, listen to me, the garbage bin smells so bad and everything. Just lift him up and say, you're God's image. You don't have to look for food in garbage bins. You have it in the fridge there, right? So Rabbi Nachman says, just remember, when you get angry, it's very important that you have to yell at this person. But the question is, do you have a right to fill your heart with cruelty? Imagine I want to yell at somebody, but in order to yell at somebody, I have to take poison. Are you ready to take a water glass of poison in order to yell? But that's what you're doing. Your mom is putting so much cruelty into you. And you know how many mikvahs you need after that to wash it off? You don't know, right?
Sometimes it's not team. Sometimes there is a time for anger.
We're coming to it in a second. You're 100 miles ahead because you're such a holy neshama. You see, I'll tell you right now, if you can be angry without cruelty, mamish without cruelty. If I can tell my child, something? You are so beautiful, you're so sweet. It breaks me into 10,000 pieces, my thing you're doing wrong. And it breaks your own neshama. Because I'm not cruel, right? I'm just giving them strength. You see, Rabbi Nachman says, we learn it in a few minutes, if you want to know if it was cruel or not, watch the person you're yelling at. If they walk away from you and they have so much strength not to do it anymore, then you did it right. If they walk away completely broken, then it was murder. It was cruel. Now listen what he says. At that moment when you feel suddenly cruelty wants to creep in, I say, I have choice. I can drink a glass of poison, or I can drink a whole glass of compassion. Gewalt. You know, compassion tastes so good. Gewalt, right? It's heavenly. Poison comes straight from hell, smells bad, tastes bad, and destroys you inside. And Rachmanus, you know, it's a Gewalt milkshake, you know, a little Rachmanus shake, you know, like. The Yamti kakas b'Rachmanus, and you mamish. You see, the Rachmanus milkshake is not just in your kishkes, it gets into the anger. Yes, I'm angry, but I want so much for you to be the best. I want so much for you to be the sweetest, right? Okay, now, and this is awesome, friends. Rabbi Nachman says, at that moment when you're angry at somebody, you have the power to fix their neshama. That's awesome, right? Basically, we are all ordinary human beings. But you know, we all have high moments when we can do something about it. When you are angry, because it's such a heavy choice, right? Takes a lot out of you. Takes a lot out of you. You know, here, brother Satan inside of you says, listen, you know what a pleasure it is to yell. So good, God. You haven't yelled for a few days now, you know. Where's your self-confidence? Takes a lot out of me, right? Takes so much out of me. At that moment, I'm on such a high level that I can fix that person. What is the deepest fixing a person can do to another human being? Again, this is very far-reaching, but I'm in a nutshell. Imagine if every second of our life we would be aware what is our ultimate purpose in this world. And we would be different people, right? Maybe once a year, like somebody says, for 20 years I'm thinking of God. 20 years ago and now again, right? How often do you think of your purpose in life? 5 years ago, Yom Kippur, I thought about it and then I didn't have time. And I don't have time today either, but you know, just for a change of pace. You know what Rabbi Nachman says? Listen to this. Whenever you deal with life, at that moment you're touching eternity. When I'm angry at a person, when it's with cruelty, it's a little bit murder, right? So I'm touching life. At that moment, I have the power to connect this person to their ultimate purpose, to eternity, right? And I want you to know something even deeper. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the tzaddikim, but right now, for us, for simple people,
This is the deepest. How often do I think of my purpose in life? And you see, has to be done in super split seconds, right? I'm burning up with anger, and I don't have time now. I say, call up David, hey, can you please read me fast from Nachman over the phone about anger? I'm sitting here fuming. And David says, no, wait, I have to go to Efrat to get the book. And I'll mimeograph it, I'll fax it to you, you'll have it by next week. Oh, thank you so much. It's too late. I need this medication. Not in a minute, in a billionth of a second, right? It has to go fast. You know what it is? At that moment, which is awesome, I can fix the neshama of the person I'm angry at, and I can also reach the level myself. I can have a taste of my ultimate purpose. And I tell you something deeper. The Baal Shem Tov says, sometimes a person lives 70 years, and the whole purpose was to do one favor to another human being. But it's worth it to live 70 years to do somebody else a favor. So here I'm getting angry. You hear, friends? Maybe this is my biggest chance in life. Maybe this one moment is my chance where I can reach my ultimate purpose, where I can reach the level that God shines into me. Because I want you to know, I'll ask everyone here, what's your ultimate purpose? Unless you're all Rebbes. I have no idea what my ultimate purpose is. I'd like to know, right? You know what the Ishbitzer says? To know your ultimate purpose is deeper than prophecy. You know what that means? I can be a prophet, I'm the Holy of Holiest, I know what will happen in 5,000 years, I know exactly what you did last lifetime, 5,000 years ago. This is all nonsense. I still don't know my purpose in life. This is something else. And at this moment I have a chance to get a taste. Then now comes another Torah which is awesome. And again, I want you to read it over your hearts, like from here to eternity. 2 weeks ago, we read in the Torah, it says, "Vayimiketz shnusam yom." It was at the end of 2 years. The whole story was Yosef. He was in prison for 10 years. Then it was 2 more years, and the whole thing happened. Sarah had the dream. But all the rabbis, what they did to the Torah, right? The way they read the Torah. So I'll tell you first Ishbitzer and then Stratton. I'm sure some of you remember it. Vayehi miketz, when do you reach the level that you know your ultimate purpose? Miketz, the end. Shnusayim yomi, when you fix the 2 most important days in your life. Wait, it's something else, right? What are the 2 most important days in my life? The 2 days in God's creation, Tuesday and Friday. On Tuesday, God created food. That means my needs. And Friday is the day when God created man in His image, when God gave me covet, when God lifted me up. You know why a cow walks on all 4? Because all a cow needs, they had in the stomachs on the same level, right? Imagine if we would have real spiritual eyes, we would see that most people walk on four. Because all they're thinking about, how can I make money? You know what the Gemara says. The Babylonians are stupid. Chair. Emunah, can you take care of Lena? No, where are you going? What? Yeah? Well, someone is sitting there in the corner. Oh, he is next to a chair, darling. Darling, you have to make it fast because we're in the middle of learning. Stay here, darling. Chaim.
You might as well turn it over now. He's close enough.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, Chavre, go with us here. Amen. How far can you go in one lifetime? Chavre, can we sit down again? I'm sorry. What happened to it?
No, okay.
Okay, friends, so let's get angry again, yeah? Well, you know, Chavre, this is not so simple. There are very few Rebbes who talk so deep about anger. Like Rav Nachman. Okay, so the Ishbitzer says the two most important days of the creation is Tuesday, when God created all my needs. And you know, I'll tell you something. Again, you know, a human being is not somebody that just walks around, smells from perfume, and has a tie on. You know what happened in the 60s? Which was gate opening, the world wasn't ready for it. By the word, a sophisticated person is somebody who has a clean shirt, a tie, had a manicure yesterday, and this is called a human being. So suddenly, the young people realize it takes more than that. In fact, you can have a dirty shirt, you can smell like a dog, and maybe inside, right? It's a tremendous revolution. But the people with the tie weren't ready for it, right? But it's slowly, right? Like it says in Ishbitzer, sometimes when something happens, first it's like an atomic explosion, then it stops, and then it comes back in such a way that the world has vessels. But anyway, you know how much honor God wants to give us? You know how deep this is. Some people think when I love somebody, I take care of their needs. You know, most husbands and wives, what do they think of each other? I love my husband, I cook for him. I love my wife, I buy her a minkant every Monday and Thursday. This is not what they need. The real need is on Friday. What does a person need most? A person needs most a little honor. And in Ishbitzer it's called so much, it's called tekifas, little strength, inner strength. And sadly enough, you know, you can go to a health food store and eat vitamin E all day, but inside you don't have 1 ounce of strength. So in Ishbitzer says those 2 days, my needs and my honor. When you fix that, okay, how do you know if you fixed your relationship to honor? It's very, very simple. I mean, it's clear to everyone. The Gemara says so. The question is always how much honor you give to others. And here I want you to open your hearts. Honor basically, it's ridiculous, right? If someone puts down $1,000 and gives it to me, I understand they gave me something. If they give me honor, so what? Who cares? Who needs it? Right? I wish they would give me more money. So the Maharal says, the deepest Torah in the world, the most heavenly gift in this world one human being can give to the other is honor. It's heavenly. It's mamish heavenly. Because I'm not giving you anything physical. I'm not even giving you anything mental. I didn't tell you something, give you a new idea. I want you to know the deepest depth. I'm sure it's clear to you. And this is again Torah from Rav Nachman, which is far-reaching, like heaven and earth. There's two kinds of honor. Imagine a political figure, I don't know, let's say, I have no idea whom I should mention, but just somebody, right? Someone walks in and he is a top man, you have to give him, get up, right? Which part of me is getting up? I don't want to say it, right? Right? Nothing, right? Imagine the Rebbe should have a refuah shlema. He would walk in, right? You know what's getting up? My neshama, right? And you know, I'm not getting up because like someone gave me a stop in the back and get up, right? Nobody bit me. My neshama lifted me up, right? We talk about it 1,000 times. You know, I always judge people, I'm sure you too, by how much honor they give to children. This is what Rav Nachman says. If you honor a person because they know something, or because they did something, this is political. If you honor a person because they are, because they're God's image. I have to tell you again, but there are some people who weren't here when we were learning it. One of the deepest moments of my life, and I really... You forgive me if I tell you again, because most of them haven't noticed it. But for me, it was a very important moment. When the Holy Rebbe of Bobov came to America, he was absolutely the first Rebbe came to America after the Second World War. And not only he was there, he was, if some of you remember, he was the leader of underground. He was dressed like a Polish officer. And he was working in the headquarters of them who were supervising all the concentration camps. And Gewalt, he was flying with them in helicopters every day to supervise the concentration camps. And every afternoon he walked in, he had this real big coat. He would walk in and carry out babies, save their lives. I remember the first boy in Bobov was bar mitzvah, who the Rebbe had carried out from a concentration camp. The Rebbe was crying so much. He said, I want you to know, when I carried you out, when you were 3 days old, I didn't even dare praying or hoping that I would be at your bar mitzvah. But he says, I definitely did not dare to hope that your father and your mother would be at your bar mitzvah. The Moshe was the greatest among the parents were there. I mean, this was really bar mitzvah, you know. But anyway, the Bob Rebbe comes to America, and there was a big reception of thousands of people who doesn't want to see, just to look at the face. You know what he did organize once in the concentration camp? He organized a coal train. You know how much energy and genius it takes? He organized a coal train with 20 cars, right? On top was coal, and never under it were lying hundreds of people. He told us a story. In the middle, the train stops and the Nazis came to inspect the train. And he was a Polish officer. And God was being emotional, please let me talk them out of it, right? I mean, heartbreaking stories. So many people asked me when he'd write down. Do you know how often he was caught by the Nazis? 127 times. Like the life of Saul, 127 times. Anyway, listen to me. So thousands of people come to see him. And just a few weeks before, another person came. And I watched him. And he was so arrogant, like... So here are thousands of people, and Mamash the greatest rabbis in the city. Suddenly I see that a little girl of 9 making her way. She wants to talk to them, private. So I would say, really, like a girl of 9, the rabbi says, who is tired? Here all those big rabbis and those rich people, and the Baba Rebbe wants to build a yeshiva, he needs them badly. And don't forget it. First of all, right now the Rebbe is nearly 90 years old, but 40 years ago, how old was he then? So then he's maybe only 80 then, because he was 38 when he came to America. A king, right? So I remember all this was a head table, all the rabbis, and behind the Rebbe, thousands of people. And suddenly the girl comes. Nobody even noticed her. And the Rebbe, the Rebbe put his arms around her like this. And the Rebbe completely ignored the whole world. And my brother and I, we were standing behind the Rebbe, we were very close to him. And my brother and I were telling each other, this girl, she's going to be a Gewalt. Because the Rebbe gave her so much covet, gave her so much honor, right? Gewalt, right? I want you to know something. In order, we should have the privilege of even knowing that there are tzaddikim in the world. Sometimes people come back to New York and they tell me, it is really heartbreaking. I was in Israel, and there are no spiritual people in Israel. I mean, it's true, right? All of the Yerushalayim is full of people who sell salami and herring. I asked them, where were you? But you know what the problem is? They were not privileged to see them. You need a privilege. You can live your whole life like a dog. Not that I don't love dogs, that so happen. I love dogs, but I have no other way of describing it. We have a cute little dog, right? My 2 most important animals in my life, when we were little, we had a goat, go out, and she would alternate. One night she would sleep with my brother, and one night sleep with me. And my mother, when she walked into the bedroom, we covered her up fast. Okay, I don't take me wrong, my mother was a good person, but she started. That's for sure.
And the second most important.
The dog there, The children have a little dog in now. But anyway, listen to me. When do you have the privilege to discover? What's going on? Yeah. Friends, I can live my whole life and never see anything special. I tell you, without mentioning names, in the house of love and prayer. And anybody knows how Shabbos is? Like Gebal, right? A person comes to San Francisco, a great rabbi, and invite him Saturday night, come to the house of love and prayer. And he thought, Shabbos is over 5. Zoma Malka will begin 10 to 6. I'll tell him, no, our Shalosh Shudas is until 2 in the morning. If you want to come from Lava Market, come about 3:30. Should have seen his face, but anyway. So he comes, but he wanted to see, He was, wait, till the end. He comes. And he says, friends, to all the kids, I have never seen a more sinful city like San Francisco. What an introduction. It's full of sin. And he starts knocking off the city, knocking off those kids. And but he was a good person, After it's all over, I said to him, listen, brother. I'm sure. You know what your problem is? You were sitting in front of the biggest tzaddikim in the world. There are kids who could do anything in the world Saturday night. And they were sitting here in honor of David HaMelech, right? They said, what's so big about you? Your father was the Rebbe, your grandfather was the Rebbe, why should you Saturday night go out? Who knows? Those kids, they can do anything they want. I said, how can you sit there and not even taste the holiness of their behavior? He was mamash crying, He says, you're 100% right. Where was I? Half a year later, he comes back to San Francisco. I was in Israel, but the Chavra knew already he's there. They invited him again. This is the beginning of his speech. And he meant it really. He said, well, I have never been in a holy city like San Francisco. Okay. Chaim. When do you have the privilege that God lets you see the holiness of the world? When instead of being angry, you turn it into compassion, and God shows you the ultimate purpose of that person, really showing you how holy this person is inside. And at that moment when God shows you the holiness of that person inside, at that moment you become a vessel that God shows you the real tzaddikim in this world. We're doing okay. One more thing, then I want to make a stop for 2 seconds. And this is Mamish, Ishbitze and Reb Nachman in the deepest. Well, something, friends, when God created the world, it was only God, right? So who could stop him? There was no red light. God creates the world, says fishes, herring, gewalt, mazel tov, laks. Can you imagine the joy in the universe when God created laks? My bar mitzvah was gewalt, but this gewalt. Hey, God created man on Friday. Suddenly was a red light. You remember it? Remember I asked you what's going on there? Okay, suddenly it's this red light. And I want you to take it on the highest level. And this voice said, who needs man? He'll destroy the world. That's so simple. You know what that means? When God created man, He really created a machine who can destroy the world. It's true. God took a chance. So the Gemara says, the Gemara talks over this in very high terms. There's a whole group of angels, means voices in heaven, who said, don't create man. He'll destroy the world. Now listen to this. But then there were angels who said, no. You know what the angels said? You can always do tshuva. You know, Rabbi Nachman quotes this medrash all the time. But it says, if you believe that you can destroy, why don't you also believe you can rebuild? You know that means God does not let you destroy more than you can rebuild. If you cannot rebuild it, you can destroy it. Because we have this choice, right? Now listen to this, awesome. And this, I want you to open your hearts and don't say a word. Basically, all the murders of the world, they are messengers of those angels who say, who needs man? You see, when a person says, I want to kill this person, what they mean to say, I want to kill mankind. Who needs man? You see, because if you know how important a person is, can't kill. Awesome. I want you to know something which is mind-blowing. And this is awesome, right? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Because the question is always, when children are born, how happy are you? God should bless every one of his children. How much are you crying for children? Because basically, I mean really, let's face it, you need one more human being, they're not enough already. There are enough kids in the world who are starving from hunger. You need one more? Forget it. What are they going to do here? In fact, you know, like, I don't want to say anything about it, the New York Times, some great person was interviewed, and he says, you know, I'm not permitted to kill, but imagine if I could suddenly make the universe with less children, would be less burden on us politicians. We wouldn't have to worry about their food. And I understand it. And he would say he's a capitalist, he learned it. Right? Machshma, right? See, he is not a murderer of one person. He wants to wipe out the world. Right? And here I want you, mamish, to listen to it. The thing is, anger, what am I saying to you when I'm angry at you? In a certain heavy way. I wish you would have never been born. And I'm telling you, who needs you? Like the angel said, who needs man? You're no good, who needs you? Gewalt, what? You are teaming up with those angels who said who needs man? And you see how deep this is. When I'm angry at one person, there is some cruelty inside of me that I'm ready to kill the whole world. And who wants to be on that level, right? Do I want to destroy my soul so much? And now listen to the deepest Torah from the Arizal from Nachman together. Whenever I do something wrong, my soul still remains in my body. My soul doesn't like it, but the neshama stays. It says in the Torah, Ani Hashem, Hashoichem Item. Tell me later, because if I lose it now, it'll be bad. You want to say something? What? Oh, okay, I thought you want to say something. It says, Ani Hashem, Hashoichem Item B'sachem. God says, even when they're reaching the lowest level, I'm not letting go of them. You know, if my children fall in mud, do I drop them? I take them out and I wash them, right? But there's one thing my neshama cannot take. When I get angry. You know what the Rizal says? If you would have good eyes, you would see that people who are angry are dead. Because their soul is not with them at that moment. The soul is like waiting in the dining room or in the lobby and say, listen, when you're finished, let me know, I'll come back. Right? Sounds funny. But you know what it means? Because when I'm yelling, I'm against life. And I'm killing myself. Because I say, who needs mankind? I'm also a human being, right? You know what Rabbi Nachman says? Imagine someone that puts half of my house on fire. And say, I will show you. I'll put the other half also on fire. See, you're working for him. That's what he wants. You see, when someone yells at me, and I'm yelling back, I say, okay, I put myself on fire also. But here what Rabbi Nachman says. Gewalt. When you get angry, you're joining the angels who didn't want mankind in the world. And I just want to tell you there's something from Ishbitzer which is awesome. You have to open your heart because it's so beautiful. The people who think that human beings are really meant to be slaves, to work. You know, the Egyptians who wanted to make us slaves, what was their problem? For them, a human being is not God's image. It's a higher kind of a cow or an ox, right? Against whom is their anger directed the most? Towards children, right? Who needs children? And this is mind-blowing. The Ishbitzer says, you know what killed the firstborn? We say God killed the firstborn. How did God kill them? God didn't walk around with a sword to kill the firstborn. The Ishbitzer says, that night the light was so strong, right? And you know, parents, God forbid, if they hate children, they can kill their own children just by hating them. And suddenly in that night, when it was so real, suddenly it was clear, the parents don't want them. You know what children feel when it would be clear to them, my parents don't want me in this world? They die instantly. That's for sure. What do we do Seder night? One night we're sitting with our children. Seder night, the focus is our children, right? Because if I want to test myself, where do I stand? Do you blow your mind when you see children? Gewalt, right? And you see, this is, if I'm in contact with God, Anna, if I'm in contact with knowing that the human being is God's image, something else, right? Since we have just a few more minutes, I want to share with you an awesome story. Again, some of you know it, David and Mimi, and I'm sure Emma remembers it. And maybe you remember it also, I don't know. Maybe yes. And Mumit, I know she knows it. Pretend you never heard it. This is a story I heard, listen to me. I heard it from a person, an old Yiddish, whose great-grandfather was there when it happened. There's actually two stories, so we'll see how we get. The story is that the Heilige Kuzma, but not the Kuzma, the Sea of Lublin's biggest chossid, there's a Kuzma in Poland, and there's a Kuzma in Russia. The Kuzma in Russia was the son of the Heilige Triska Maggid, of Rabbi Avraham the Triska Maggid. And he tells me that my great-grandfather, every Saturday night in the winter, they would get on a big slate, and you know, in Russia, it's snow, and it's so beautiful, and the horses have little bells, and we would drive out. It's so beautiful. And you know, friends, a horse is much stronger than a wolf. But like the Yiddish that told me, Chassidim said, why is a horse a horse? Because it doesn't know how strong it is, right? Because if you would know how strong you are, you'd be immense, right? So when a horse sees a wolf, they completely freeze up, paralyzed, and they can move. Okay, so the Chassidim are sitting, and one more thing, the Rebbe was sitting on the slate with closed eyes the whole time. They're driving, the horses, suddenly the horses stop, stand on their behind, and they see hundreds of wolves are coming. Hundreds of wolves, the wolves go together in the winter. And the Rebbe, sitting with closed eyes. And what would be the purpose of telling the Rebbe? The Chassidim Amish, they know in 2 more minutes they're gone. And this is one thing I didn't know, and if you remember it, I didn't know the wolves have Rebbes also. Remember the story? So suddenly the Rebbe wolf, the leader of the wolves, the chief rabbi of the wolves, he came running. And that moment, the Rebbe opened his eyes, went off the slate, or went to greet the Rebbe of the wolves. He took off his coat, jacket, and opened his shirt. You have to listen with all your heart. The wolf comes and puts his paws on the Rebbe and his nose on the Rebbe's heart. Then he began licking the Rebbe's feet. And all the hundreds of wolves came, licked the Rebbe's feet, and they took off. And the Rebbe, like nothing, buttons his shirt, puts on his kapote, Strang, back on the slate. The Chassidim are blowing their minds. Imagine we would be there, we wouldn't believe what we saw, right? So the Rebbe says to the Chassidim, what's so big about it? Don't you know if you're God's image, then they have no dominion over you? So he says, the wolf put his nose on my heart to see if there's any hatred in my heart. Because if I have hatred, I'm the God's image anymore. He says, what are you looking at? You're supposed to be the same way. It's awesome, right? I mean, this is a story which is a must to remember. But it's not the end, I'll make it fast. You remember the story about the Elika who married the farmer's daughter? You remember the story?
He says, how dare you, don't you know, isn't it true?
Yeah. Anyway, it's a long story, but that part I cannot tell you, only the second part. The Heilige Kuzma says to the Chassidim, so you think I'm a big shot, right? Because the wolf smelled me and he saw that I'm God's image. He says, that's nothing. Everybody's supposed to be on that level. But I'll tell you what the real is a high level. My Holy Father, no. He got married to a farmer's daughter when he was 16, and he lived in the farm. And suddenly there was a boar in the forest, and people were afraid to go through the forest. And one night, a Yiddish comes to my father-in-law and says, Rebbe, my wife is in labor, and they have to bring the doctor from the city. I'm afraid to go at night through the forest. I want you to come with me. My father-in-law goes. He's sitting on the wagon. Suddenly, a few minutes, boar, she can push the zach, right? Wild. Comes charging, and my holy father-in-law gets off the wagon, and he waits till the boar gets very close. Suddenly he yells, how dare you? You think God created you to kill people? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? And he says, the boar fell down to the feet of my father-in-law, and he was crying so much because he had killed so many people. He was crying so much that he couldn't bear it anymore, and he died. He said, this is already a Rebbe. If you can make a boar do tshuva, right? If you can make a boar regret what they did. I mean, the story is so deep, beyond. Okay. Now, David, let's hear the Torah from you first.
I just have to tell you, I told the story about the wolves earlier this morning. When we
Yeah,
heard
Mama.
this.
So why didn't you stop me?
No, most of the people weren't here for it, but it was like the few of we just looked at it and then smiled.
Sylvia, Mama's on the same wavelength. Unbelievable. So let's hear what you say. You going? Okay, Mimi, you want to lay it on me? Anything?
And it says Tzarich l'shaber et ha'ka'as berachmanut, that you should break the ka'as with rachmanut. And I mean, the usual understanding is that person or that situation that's making you angry, you know, you should rather find a way to have rachmanus. But we're also saying on some level, where do I find the place to have rachmanus on myself that this thing should get me angry, you know, and how to, that wasn't clear, it was just to have rachmanus there, but in some sense on ourselves. And and I'd like to see you go even further just with the whole thing. How do we get hold of rachmanus? I mean, I understand when we talk about the helicopter and the 747.
We have to organize another 7 days of learning about anger. What? I did it one time. I mean, one time learning.
7 days.
Shlomo, how do you account for being stoned in the world about beliefs and everything on the lowest level being forgiven and to your children? And then why does he give up on some things?
You know, my wife is asking a deep question. Why did God destroy Sodom? I want you to know something, and it's even too long to go into right now because I have 2 minutes. The Gemara is asking the deepest question in the world. God never tells us to do something which He doesn't do. Like, okay, we are not permitted to kill, so why is God killing us? How can God ever take the soul of a person? The Torah says, don't kill, right? Now listen to the unbelievable answer. You know why I am not permitted to kill, God forbid, somebody? Because I cannot bring them back to life. But when God takes away your neshama, He can bring you back to life right then. I want you to know something which is awesome. You know what happened to Sodom? And maybe tomorrow we'll have more time because this is the most far-reaching subject in the world, right? The two biggest destructions in the world, the flood and Sodom, right? Awesome, right? I want you to know something awesome. And I'm just throwing it at you. Do you know Sodom is a Gewalt? Why was Sodom so connected to Avraham? Because Avraham is giving without judging, giving. And Sodom is not giving at all. Both are wrong. And you know, Sodom is very much needed. There was a time when you shouldn't give. So the Ishbitzer says that basically Sodom is a Gewalt. It's a Gewalt. And I don't want to go into it now. Sodom came back, and there were the neshamas. You know, the neshamas, the souls of the flood, and the souls of Sodom came back, and they were the slaves in Egypt, and they received the Torah on Mount Sinai. You know what they learned while they were slaves? They're fixing their neshama. You know what happened in Sodom, in the flood? And the flood was they had absolutely no respect before each other. I walk on the street, my best friend goes with a beautiful woman on the street. I kill my friend, take away his wife. I walk 2 blocks, somebody else sees me with this beautiful woman, kills me and takes away. This was the flood. And the world was absolutely in order. You know what they learned as slaves? How much it hurts when nobody treats you like a human being. You know what the people of Sodom learned? How it feels when nobody gives you anything. Takes away everything from you, not giving you anything. So you see, when God destroyed Sodom and the marble was not in the air. And if any of you remember, Moshe Rabbeinu was in the flood and he drowned also. So Moshe Rabbeinu came back with the whole generation. You know, this is deep stuff. But anyway, we have to go. David, what do you say? When are we meeting again tomorrow morning?
We meet tomorrow morning. Again, the Beit Midrash learning from 9 to 10:30, and Shlomo from 11 to 1. And also tomorrow night in the Beit Cafe, unless, I don't know, for the crowd we had, we're starting to think whether we have to do better, but hopefully we can do it in the Beit Cafe. Did you like it down there?
It was gewalt.
It's very nice. In fact, if you want to come early tomorrow, I mean, for two things. One, tomorrow night we have a psychiatrist, Dr. Seymour Borstein, who's here from Mill Valley. He'll be giving a talk from about 7:30 or 8 to 9 or 9:30. There's a little bit of an overlap. But either come early and join his talk. He's talking about spiritual practices in psychotherapy and the psychodynamic process. And that'll be in English up here. Or come early and come to the Beit Cafe and already have a bite to eat, something to drink, whatever. And we'll start with Shlomo probably around 9. Or, Shlomo will get there and warm up and whatever, and things will get going. So know that it's in the Beit Cafe. So come with an appetite.
That's soup I've had.
Wasn't that good?
Come on, have it 1 second.
So anyway, yeah.
1 second. They had some young people here who came specially for the wedding tonight of Janet. I want to greet them very specially.
I thought that would fall me, and I looked at it, I was like, there's no trees here.
See, that's a good
I
line.
know, it's like,
Got on my shirt, and I was like, ah.
I was like, yes, God's listening to me.
Yeah.